Hello, my beautiful ladies and gentlemen. I just got a message to say the streaming to Diamond Beauties, there's a problem with, so I'm not sure what is going on, but now it shows it's recovered. So it's recovered. So I'm happy for that. So my beautiful ladies and gentlemen, and all my viewers, thank you for being with us with this amazing show, Soul of a Diamond. I am extremely excited to introduce to you Dr. Alexandra McDermott, and she loves to be called Ali. So just we will call her Ali. But I just wanted to say to the beautiful Diamond Beauties, if you do give us comments, my beautiful ladies, I will not shout out to you because remember, today is Ali's turn to shine her light, to tell her story. So I will just show it at the bottom and then we will not comment on it, but you're welcome to share your love for Ali so that we can see, but we will not have a shout out to you. So I am truly excited to have you here, my beautiful Ali. When we had a coffee chat, you blew me away with such an inspiration. You're not just an inspiration to me, but you are an inspiration to so many globally. And I was so happy when you said, yes, Sonette, I will be a soul of a diamond. Can I please ask you, can you introduce yourself?
Of course. Thank you so much. It's such an honor, first of all, to be here. So I so appreciate it and truly an honor. So to introduce myself, of course, call me Allie. I am the CEO of Pen Crown Publishing and McDermott Leadership. And before that, I was teaching at USC in a lot of different subject matters. I transitioned to my work now really because of the work that I did with students over there. I connected really well with them, learned a lot about their stories. And then I really framed last year as my most transformative year. And if folks have listened to me before or have know at all about me, last year was my most transformative year. And I published in a collaborative book called Fearless Female Leaders and really understood the power of storytelling. And from there, I developed and really formed my own company. So that's me.
Wow, that's amazing. So I know that I wanted to do an amazing gift for you, a video. And I know
Thank
that we
you.
had a little bit of a trouble with the video, the 45-second video I
Yes.
asked. I went and searched it everywhere and see if I cannot get a video of you that you have introduced yourself, but I could not. So I went to YouTube channel and look at some of your interviews. And I
Thank
took my cell phone and I recorded just a little bit a piece. But what I said, I'm going to play the video for you, and then you're welcome to
you.
send me a proper one, and then I will replace it, and then
Thank
you
you.
can have this video as a promo that you can play and send to anybody. Are you ready for your gift, my beautiful Ali?
Thank you. Yes, and I feel terrible. Poor Sonette. I've been so under the weather, and she's like, "Can you send me the video?" And I couldn't speak at all. And so, thank you so much. Thank you.
No, nothing. It's you are welcome. I almost say it's my pleasure, but in South Africa we speak the uh, English, so we say pleasure. But I know in America I have to say you are welcome. So here we go.
Thank you. Actually go by Allie. So right now I just recently relocated from Texas to California, and I love to tell people I'm now living my dream life. So I've transitioned now to having my own coaching business, and in about a week I'm actually launching a publishing company. So I sort of like to tell people I kind of am now going with the flow, right? Whatever comes my way and seems exciting, I'm doing, but I'm very, very excited about that, and really, really, really very happy. Thank you. That's amazing.
Oh, thank you. And I looked at glitter for you, a little bit of bluish glitter, but that is the glitter I wanted to bring to your for you to say thank you for being a soul of a diamond, because I also wanted to find out what is your favorite color, and then you're not feeling really well. I didn't want to bother you, so I just want to say I'm happy you love your video. I will just replace a newer video for that, and I will send it to you. And then before we start, my beautiful Ali, I would like to play my sponsor for today's show, Natalie McQueen. She's actually going to help us to do the book now I'm
Compilation. Compilation.
compilation.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. A book compilation in April for me. So I would just love to play a video, and then we will start with your show. Here we go.
Hi there. My name is Natalie McQueen. I'm the founder of Gifts of Legacy. I am a book publisher and a legacy designer. I am thrilled to introduce my talking journal. This unique journal features recorded messages from 100 trailblazing contributors that we call our masters and mavens. Imagine a journal that you can hold in your hands and get daily prompts of inspiration from these mentor experts. I invite you to be one of our masters and mavens in our first edition on gratitude for $49. This is a low-cost, high-impact alternative to traditional publishing. I cannot wait to hear your inspirational message.
Wow. So my beautiful Alice, she gave this opportunity to my beautiful diamond beauties and my beautiful Tanzanite euros. We've got till the 18th of January to complete, to say that we really want to be in this trailblazing first edition talking journal. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I'm struggling with my words today, but I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there. I do have quite a lot of ladies from the Diamond Beauties that's watching us, and that also is giving us comments. So I am going to ask you to start your story for us, and then I
Sure.
will show them. I will show you just at the bottom the ladies' comments. Are you ready, my beautiful Addie?
I am, and I would love to comment too, if I can, Sinette, about gratitude, because that was the sponsorship. You know, it's so important, and that's such a huge part of my story too. And so I'm thrilled that she's putting together that compilation, because really, you know, a lot of what I've written about in my stories and the coping skills that I've offered have so much to do with gratitude, because when you realize that and really make that a part of your life, your whole outlook changes. You know, really reframing every single day, waking up with a positive mindset, really starting a gratitude journal for yourself, you know, counting your blessings, that changes your outlook, right? And when your outlook changes, your circle of influence changes. And so, you
Yes.
know, I love that the sponsor is, you know, creating this opportunity for people to jump in and be a part of that. So I definitely wanted to comment there and say, you know, that's huge. Because again, it's a huge part of the coping skills that I share, and it's a huge part of my story. So I wanted to jump in there and talk about that too.
Oh, thank
So
you so much.
of course, of course. So, you know, you know, I don't wanna go chronologically because we could be here all day, right? But, you know, what I had submitted to you recently, you know, I don't know if it's appropriate to start there, Sinette, or, you know, to give folks a little bit more of a background, but I'll actually, you know, sort of give folks a little bit more background. But, you know, 2022 was, you know, a difficult time for me. I was unraveling from, you know, a pretty toxic relationship. I was married for 25 years and, realizing that, I wasn't going to continue down that path. I have 6 kids and 2 twin girls at home, and had been, deciding whether or not to stay coupled. We'll just leave it there. And once we made the decision to uncouple, things didn't get better. The divorce process is very, very challenging. And going through a lot of things with that. And I have an undiagnosed chronic medical condition as well that I had been managing for several years too. And so kind of putting things and compartmentalizing things, also a career that I absolutely loved. I was teaching at the University of Southern California, very, very connected to my students. I had to retire, from that role. And so, things were just, coming down and I didn't know what to do. And so I found an opportunity with Alma Publishing to publish a story, like I said, in Fearless Female Leaders. And, really, I'm a researcher. So I'm like, how do I get myself unstuck? What do I do here? Because this is not workable for me. You know, um, I really just had to figure it out. And so I did a lot of research. I came up with a framework and it worked for me. And so when I connected with Alma, with Monique, who is the CEO of Alma, she said, this is a great book for you. And just really connecting with her actually as a person. She's incredible. And, publishing this story, working through the framework, I became unstuck, right? And was able to develop coping skills that helped me and get through and really realize that I couldn't take all the crises together. I had to really, again, compartmentalize them. I had to learn more about resilience, that resilience could be, taught and learned. I had to become more agile. I had to reframe. Reframe is a huge part of my life. I had to develop a positive attitude. I had to learn more about gratitude. And so I developed this framework that worked. I published my story, and it was almost an apology also to the students at USC because I totally disappeared on them. I didn't intend to, but they shut down my email. And so several students had tried to get in touch with me. I didn't realize this, and I just had disappeared. And they were surprised that all of this had been happening as well. And again, this undiagnosed chronic medical condition that I'll share more about today, what's happening today. So when that happened and I showed up on podcast after the story was published, saying you don't have to feel like you're on an island, there is support, there is a way out. People, it resonated with people, and I felt really connected to them. People would reach out to me and say, I need support, I need help, what can I do, that kind of thing. And I felt really purposeful, right? That storytelling was an incredible platform, and it had so much power. And so I reached back out to Monique and said, there is something here. When I developed a coaching business, I could only reach maybe 10 or 15 people. I really need to reach more people in a different way. And so she and I discussed it. And then, of course, Pen Crown Publishing came to be, which is a different way to reach more people. And then it's been, I've been innovating that platform since, right? But it's been incredible. The journey's been amazing. And again, different coping skills, different research for different crises that have come up. But it's funny because that's always my go-to. When something happens, it's go to the research, get the evidence, share it with people, because that's sort of my purpose, right? Which is, to help people as much as possible. Like if I encounter something, that I think can help someone else, I'm going to share it. I'm incredibly vulnerable in that way. And so that's really sort of my story. That's a lot, right? You're like,
I love it. I love it. And you know, the thing is, when you have gifted me this amazing gift of yours to say, Xanet, will you be in Unstoppable?
mm-hmm.
I was like over the moon. I was like, I could not tell you. It was like amazing. And you know, you are a lady that springs into action. Because you actually contact another lady I have sent you your way, and you were just incredible. And that's also one of the things that I loved about you. You are a go-getter. You do things, you say you're gonna do it, and you do it. So thank you so much for that. So my beautiful Ali, can you tell us a little bit more of your story? Why were you stuck?
Great question. So, and I've analyzed that a really long time. So, I was in, like I said, a 25-year marriage that was very toxic. I even had an adult son who asked me to leave it when he was about 12. And I think about that and all the time. And, if I had, I wouldn't have my amazing, 10-year-old twins, right? So blessings across the board. But, and I don't want to speak so much, right? Because it opens, we actually have an open case still. But so I need to be careful in that regard. But, you know, I think about that, right? And I'm pretty dutiful, right? And we had issues all 25 years. And there were a lot of things toward the end that, you know, were really, really, really difficult, that I could not change. And that's why I came up with, the 3 universal beliefs that I published in my message too. You can only control your own behavior, no one else's. And I had tried for so long toward the end to, influence, coach, and maybe probably even control, um, my ex's behavior in a way. Maybe if I did X, Y, or Z at one point, I actually gave him 10 different books under the guise of, hey, maybe you can coach your leaders on these things, from literally everything from, my, Viktor Frankl's book, to like leadership books, because he's a global leader, thinking like if he gets these messages and he can coach his global leaders, maybe it'll like sink in, right? And so I tried everything for a really, really long time to improve things in the relationship. And it just wasn't gonna work, right? And so there was a point, where I could break the contract, and feel good about it, that I did everything I could, and now I could leave. And so that happened in February of last year. And so that was it. I was done and I could get out. And so, I didn't have to feel bad anymore. And so that was, but I still work through, you know, why did I let it go so long? Right. Um, and again, that's something that I'll probably reflect on for a really long time. You know, but again, there was an event, where I could leave, and not feel bad about it anymore. And so that was a piece of it, and a big piece of it. And my adult daughter, who I'm super duper close with, actually gave me an ultimatum in December where she said, if the behavior doesn't change, I will pack your stuff myself by the time you turn 50, which is tomorrow. And literally, I will exit you, right? We're leaving. And so she was able to see a lot of the behaviors that when you're immersed in a situation, you can't see anymore. And so, as an observer, she was around enough where, the things that you tolerate, like your level of tolerance maybe goes up. I don't know. But, I was super grateful to her. She it was my rock, and so that was a big piece of it too.
Thank you so much for being vulnerable and tell us. And you know, I always believe when you in a picture frame, then it's difficult to see because you're not outside, you're inside this stuff.
Mhm.
And sometimes and people love to comment if they're outside the picture frame, but you cannot comment if you or change anything if you don't step out of that picture frame and look at the picture and see, is it this way or this way. So it is actually an incredible story. So thank you so much for telling us. And can I ask you, is it possible for you to share for us? You mentioned that you have a undiagnosed
Mhm.
chronic illness. Will it be okay for you
Sure.
to mention that for us?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, it's been going on for years and years and years, and it's amazing the mind-body connection and what stress does, right? But I would say, I mean, I was probably since I was very small, right? But nothing I could recognize. I absolutely have a diagnosed bleeding disorder. It's called von Willebrand's, but nothing showed up until my kids were born, which is fascinating. I always had bleeding issues when I was very young, but nothing was diagnosed. But when my son was born, we chased his bleeding issues until he was about 5, and then diagnosed with von Willebrand's. And then all of my kids were. I had an episode with a surgery, and that's when I was diagnosed with von Willebrand's. And it's a difficult diagnosis to make because the levels of von Willebrand's adjust based upon stress. So it's really fascinating. It can take a long time. So that's something I have. So a lot of sort of bleeding stuff like anemia and things like that. So I have a hematologist. I actually have two. So that's one of them, which complicates things, for surgeries and things like that, and dental work, etc. So that's one component. So for the past several years, even when we moved, and we've moved around the country for my ex's different roles, we moved everywhere. And so when we lived in Georgia, I experienced this strange sensation in my eyes and went to the emergency room, and they diagnosed me with what they said was a brain tumor. I spent the night there, and then they redid a test and said, We made a mistake, not a brain tumor." That was the longest 24 hours of my life. But, then I was kind of um, scared, nervous, worried, you name it. So I went to Mayo Clinic, and I was like, I need to know what it is that could have been a brain tumor, not a brain tumor, that kind of thing. And they ran me through, their various departments, found a bunch of different things wrong, a bunch of kidney stones and different things like that. Wasn't feeling top notch. Sent me home, no real anything. I had at that time an increased level of a marker for an autoimmune disease, but no autoimmune disease. Went home, did more testing and things like that, but nothing showing up. So fast forward through the years, different times feeling not great, but seeing like a kidney specialist and different, doctors for different organs. For the past couple of years after I took from the COVID shot, the second COVID shot, and I published this in one of the books, I was really ill, like incredibly ill, 106 fever, throwing up down the hallway, you name it, it happened. I had to be put on prednisone. Um, and then after that, things totally spiraled for me out of control. I then started feeling things in my hands and my feet. Some days they would work, they wouldn't work. I started to stutter. Things got completely crazy. I was being tested for MS. Went to 4 different doctors. Finally received a diagnosis of no MS from a doctor in Arkansas, but lesion in my eye. And throughout the years, different doctors have diagnosed me with different things. Like in my liver, I have several lesions. In my kidney, I have several lesions and cysts and different things. I've had emergency surgeries across this country for different things that we had to stop for. So total craziness. The most significant thing that's happened to me recently is I get monitored by MD Anderson because a couple of years ago they found something in my pancreas. And my mother passed of pancreatic cancer 10 years ago, I'm sorry, in 2012. A couple years ago, they found something in my pancreas and an elevated CA19-9. A CA19-9 is a pancreatic cancer tumor marker. You're not supposed to have, any cancer, cells in your body. And so when that shows up past a certain level, they get nervous, they monitor you. So, I've been being monitored by MD Anderson for the past couple of years. Every 6 months, I do my testing because I have to be vigilant. So this past November, bless you, this past
Thank you.
November, I went and did my typical monitoring. And they didn't like, my actual CA19-9 elevated past a point that they didn't like. So they did what they call an EUS. And that's when they put a camera, into your, GI tract, and they take a deeper look. And so when they did that, I happen to be an outlier, right? And I kind of get used to that. When they did that, they found and discovered that I actually have an aneurysm, and I have an aneurysm in my pancreas, and they couldn't do what they needed to do, right? They stopped doing what they needed to do. And so here I am. I'm just, and I've had EUSs before, by the way, and they've turned out just fine. So I assumed they're just going to do their monitoring thing, and I'm just going to wake up. And my poor 18-year-old daughter is sitting there, right? And so she doesn't know what's going on. And so I come to, because I don't like being under anesthesia or whatever. And so I come to and I'm like, okay, where's the doctor? Like, let's get out of here. And so I come to and he comes in the room and I'm like, okay, like, what's the good news, right? Like, and he comes in and he's like, we couldn't get it. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? And so my poor daughter's sitting there, and he's like, "No, we couldn't get it. I tried, and then I brought 3 other doctors in, and then we couldn't do it because you actually have an aneurysm." I'm like, "What? What does that mean?" And he's like, "Yeah, every time I touched you, you would bleed." And I'm like, mm. And so I was really disappointed. I actually started to cry because I'm like, just take it all, right? Here I am. I'm like, just grab it, right? Like, just, like it's just, do you need a pancreas? Like, just grab it, right? And so my poor daughter, who knows me, she's like, Mama, like, you stop, right? And so he's like, here's the story. So we're gonna just, take pause, right? He's like, take a break, go home, and like we'll be in touch. And I'm like, it's the holidays, like chop chop, right? Like I'm I'm like all frenetic, right? And so she has to manage me, manage mom. Good luck, right? And so, I head home, and they're amazing over there. MD Anderson's like the best care in the world, and he's incredible. And so, head home. And so, the plan is, to manage the aneurysms. I actually don't have one, I have 2. And I'm super lucky. And so, I actually have surgery scheduled for Tuesday to manage that part. But they're an incredible institution. And so, through much ado and all of this kind of stuff, we've been able to schedule that piece of it, to get that part managed. But it's interesting because I have this rare disease, and I'm laughing because it's so ridiculous, right? When you get to a point like me, where you come up against these things, you kind of go, okay, fine. It's just kind of becomes this nuisance that you just kind of have to manage. And so it's something called median arcuate ligament syndrome. And it's actually interesting because it's rare, but it explains a lot of the symptoms that I've been dealing with. So I'm actually super grateful, because I've had this immense back pain that's totally unexplainable. And so I get a life upgrade. And so it's a win for me. And so the fact that they found this, um, I look at as a blessing. So come Tuesday, when they fix, some aneurysms, when they fix this stuff, I'm like, great. I don't have to manage what I've been dealing with for the past couple years, which is this incredible back pain, like out of nowhere. But it's interesting. So if people don't know about it and they've experienced GI symptoms, it's super rare and it's hard to diagnose. And it comes from the GI tract, and there's specific symptoms and stuff like that. But again, they found this thing, and so I have surgery on Tuesday to manage it and stuff like that. So that's that's a crazy, weird kind of circular way of getting to sort of where I am now.
Wow. Ali, first of all, happy birthday for tomorrow.
Thank
You are
you.
50 years old. So
Yes.
normally what I do, I sing in my home language, Afrikaans, and then I will translate in English. So I know my husband tells me, please don't quit your day job because you are clearly not a singer. But for me, I love my own voice. So will you permit me to give you a quick song in Afrikaans, and then I will go into English?
Of course. Thank you so much. That's lovely.
Feels geluk, lieve Ellie, omdat jy verjaar. Mag die Here jou seën en nog baie jare spaar. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ali. Happy birthday to you. Hip hip hooray.
Thank you. That's amazing.
Oh, thank you. And the Afrikaans song is May God Bless You
Mm.
Always. So that is amazing. So my beautiful Ali, with all the things that is in your marriage, your children,
Mhm.
and then you don't know what's wrong. You go through all this pain. How did you cope, my girl? How did you stand up every morning and be a blessing for your children and be a blessing for your student? How did you do this?
Great question. And I get, there's a couple things. So I love the concept of hope, right? I actually have it tattooed on my wrist. But that's huge, right? So this idea of hope, this idea, and I have always said the sun always rises, right? So every day is an opportunity, right? And you have a choice to show up or not show up, right? But every day is an opportunity. And so it's this idea, and I've researched it too, right? Of adopting a positive mindset. And you have to, and I researched it because the knee jerk, and it comes from actually the way we're built, and it's no one's fault to automatically come from a negative frame, because that's literally comes from us, from evolution, right? Truly, because it's our survival instinct, and it's been researched for decades. That's literally sort of the caveman, cavewoman in us, because we are built that way to survive. That's our fight or flight. So knowing, because I wanted to feel empowered to know, okay, where did this come from? Right? Why do we always literally approach an event that could be, even a jump ball, with a negative frame? I need to know, right? And so from a research standpoint, it's because of that, caveman, cavewoman instinct, right? Because we have to look at things and be prepared, right, to survive. So knowing that, we can be empowered to say, okay, take a beat, right? Take a moment and take a pause and reflect on that. And if you know where that comes from, you can change it, right? You should change it. And so if you're aware, you can reframe. And this is the whole idea of reframing. And I do it every day, all day, right? So when you're confronted with a potentially negative event or negative situation, take it apart, right? What's the facts? What are the facts? What's the data? What's the evidence? Are you seeing it for what it truly is? You know, if if something happens and someone even like potentially comes at me, right? You know, let me put myself in their shoes. You know, what is it that's going on in their world, right? Where I was a potential target. Can I handle it with grace? Do I have to handle it at all? That kind of thing. So it's really sort of looking at all things and, you know, kind of just disassembling, you know, and looking at the parts. And so I just became really good at that. And then compartmentalizing, you know, because you're not going to boil an ocean. Right. And so, you know, looking at if I did, I wouldn't get out of bed. I'd go under the covers and say, good luck. Right. Because it wasn't even just me that had crises. My kids all had crises. And sometimes at the same time, I'm like, listen, I got to prioritize and I got to triage who's red, yellow, and green. Right. So, and that's the truth. And I do that as a mechanism for myself as well. So I'm like, okay, what do I have to handle now? What's red? What's yellow? And what can get kicked, you know, until further down the road? And so that's sort of how I handle things generally. And so, you know, it wasn't just, you know, how can't like, you know, and my stuff gets prioritized last, you know, it does. And that's not great self-care, sorry. But you know, kids come first always. So adult kids too. So, you know, what's going on with them? You know, what do I need to help and support them with? And that was going down in a huge way when things were happening with me, you know, even during the summer that my, you know, marriage was crumbling, you know, my kids were having huge issues as well. So everybody else got prioritized before me. And that's just how it goes. But again, it's red, yellow, green. You know, what has to happen now? What's, you know, medium level priority and what can get, you know, pushed.
Well, I look on your for your golden nugget on your web. Well, not on your web, but Facebook. You said you want to have a more joyful day every
Mm-hmm.
day, the next day. I love that, and that is part of your hope mission or your hope philosophy that you have incorporated in your own life.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, are you asking for my golden nugget now, or no? That is my golden nugget. Yes,
No,
yes,
I didn't know. I thought let me.
yeah,
I chose it as your golden nugget because I
yes.
didn't want to bother you while you're not feeling well, and I'm so privileged that you are here. So please tell us what is your golden nugget.
That is, yes. So to make tomorrow's more joyful than today, I love to laugh, right? And so, and so again, a researcher here, right? So I really got into this idea of, okay, how do I get happy? Right. And because I wasn't happy forever. Right. So, how do I get happy? How do I find joy? What's the difference between joy and happiness? Like, I really went into the rabbit holes. Right. And so I thought, okay, happiness is different for different people. And so the things that make me happy are dogs, dog videos, like all the things on the internet. And then I'm like, okay, so then I looked at oxytocin, right? And so I'm a big believer in trust. And so there's this book called Factor that does a lot of evidence-based research on oxytocin, and that's a huge connection point with relationships and people, right? Oxytocin is that hormone that you get when you bond with a child. So it's that happy hug hormone, right? So when you hug someone, there's a huge release in oxytocin. So how do you get more of that holistically? You know, so you know, dancing and different things like that. So I do a lot of research, right? So I'm like, okay, so how can you do that? How can you increase that, you know, in stuff like that, you know, and what are the other types of hormones, you know, in your brain that you can increase and get more of, right? And so for me, it was, you know, making my tomorrows more joyful than today, laughing more, you know, doing more things to increase, you know, that part of my happiness. And so, you know, the internet's amazing and so many creative people out there. And so, for me, it's memes, it's dog videos, and I have a crazy Malinois GSD. Her name's Khaleesi, and my sister Kim gets nuts because she's like, "Don't let her do that to you," right? But so she'll literally pin me down and hug me. She's just an incredible dog, but she does it like semi-violently, and so she's like, "Don't let her do that to you," right? And so, but she does. That's just how she shows affection, right? And so, when you look at these videos, online where it says, the way I picture my dog and the way, someone else gets a GSD or a Mal or whatever, and you see these like high performing Malinois, and then my dog over here is like upside down and like doing all this crazy stuff. Those things make me laugh hysterically because I'm living it, right? And so, I love things like that. And I love funny memes. And then, of course, like all the divorce memes, like I'm like, yep, that's me, right? I can't like them, but that's me, right? And so, things like that. So I do, everything I can to laugh as much as possible. And so that's me.
Oh, well, I love it. Can you tell us what is your forever song?
Oh goodness. It's funny. I don't know that I have one as much as it changes like every day, right? So I had one that I talked to you about, and then I thought, you know what? So that reminds me of my mom, Over the Rainbow, right? So I love that one. But I listen to music for my mood all the time, right? Just the Way You Are is something that I've been playing a lot recently by Bruno Mars, because it's just sort of this idea of being authentic, of just accepting and loving a woman for exactly who she is. And so that's been something that has been on my playlist a lot. So probably that is current. But I love all different genres of music. So maybe that one currently.
Okay. So I still have Over the Rainbow, and I was so
Yes,
happy to dance it with you because that's also my daughter in New
yes.
Zealand's favorite
I
song.
love
And
that
also
one.
the
I love that
same gentleman in Hawaii that sings it, she loves it as
Yes.
well. So I start off my day with Walking on Sunshine. That's my forever song. And I
I love
end
that.
off my day. And that brings me to the essence of me. And that's the reason for me incorporating a forever song in my life. God gave my forever song almost 5 years ago, and that's the reason why I ask everybody, what is their forever song? My beautiful Ali, I was looking for pictures to put into your beautiful video,
Mm,
and all the pictures of your children,
mm,
you are laughing and you're having so much
mhm,
fun. Your children are such a blessing for you.
mhm.
If is there anything that you wanted to say about your children and or for your children?
Yes. So it's funny. So all they always ask me, so who do you love the most, right? And so it's always a game with them or, that kind of thing. And I say, I love you all the same, but for different reasons. And that's the truth, right? And kids, they joke, but I think that they ask it seriously, like, who's your favorite? There's no favorite, and I'm really close to all of my kids, and I have a different relationship with all of them. I have 6 kids. My oldest is 33. And then I have, another son who's 22. And he's married and has, a gorgeous wife and my first grandbaby who's 1. And then I have another son who's 20, who I'm very close to. A daughter who I've mentioned a ton of times. She just turned 19. And then the twins who are 10, right? Who I live with. They couldn't be more different. And so, but every single relationship that I have with each of my kids is special and it's strong and it's totally amazing. But there, and so it's funny when I hear other parents, chatting about their relationships and stuff like that. I'm like, I have an incredible bond with each of them. There's no favorite, despite them asking every day, right? Who's your favorite? But it's an incredible relationship with each of them, and it's completely different with all of them. And with the adult kids, we would have lunch after school. They went to this really unique high school where we were able to have lunch together as a group after school, and stuff like that. And as they've even gone off to be adults and have their own lives and stuff, we talk almost every day, and it's everything from religion to philosophy, and they're really cool conversations, to what's going on with maybe their job or my work, or and it's just they're beautiful relationships. And it doesn't take much work, but it takes time. And so I would say to people, invest the time, right? Because those moments you don't get back. We don't see each other as much as I would love, because, I have two sons who live in Georgia, and a son who lives in Alabama. Thankfully, my girls live in California, but, I would do anything to see them more, certainly. But, invest the time, because, gosh, it goes by so quickly, right?
I
But
know.
I adore them all, and I'm so blessed, to have the relationships that I really have.
Wow. Thank you for telling us, my beautiful Ali. So next week is a big week for you.
Hmm.
After you get well and you rested, what has 2024? What does it have for you? Your goals and your dreams.
Great question. And I thought about this too, and I've done a lot of planning. I've looked at planning, and I thought, if I could share anything with anybody, is to be really intentional, to make a plan. Because if you don't know where you want to go, nothing's going to get you there, right? Nothing can get you there because you don't know where you want to go. And so take the time now and develop your beautiful life with intention, right? Make a plan. And so my plan is to really spend the time with Pen Crown Publishing, and McDermott Leadership is the supportive arm, but to really help the global leaders that I have with their stories, right? We have 3 platforms. It's storytelling, right? Their stories, with high impact, and the legacies they wish to leave in the world. And so that's the platform for Pen Crown Publishing. And so I have so many different programs that we're doing. So we're going to offer a solo book, in a group format as well, and that you can launch your solo book in 90 days. And so that'll be coming. And that's a big program that I'm very excited about. And so we have a bunch of collaborative books that I'm thrilled about, that are going to be dropping. 2 more are going to be dropping. But right now we have Life-Changing Leadership, which is, for military leaders and former military leaders that I'm thrilled about, to support them and their stories. Unstoppable is closed, as you know, and thrilled to have you in it. Yay! And so that'll be released in April. And so thrilled about that book. It's going to be amazing. And then we have High Altitude Leadership, which is about pilots, former pilots and current pilots. And so we have an incredible nonprofit also associated with that called Angel Flight West. And so that's the thing about what we do, is we partner with nonprofit organizations as well to help them raise their profiles, and then the proceeds from the books don't go to the authors themselves, they go to the nonprofits, to help them. And so, that's what we love, right? And so the proceeds from that book will go to Angel Flight West. And so High Altitude, I'll be talking more about that one as well. And then we have a couple more that are coming. One is called Shift, and it's for executive leaders. And it's the power of, vision and purpose and mindset. And so that'll be dropping maybe in the next couple of days. I'm very excited about that. And then the other one's Love Minded, because partly because I would love to see what other people think about love, right? As I'm sort of, doing my own research about it. But it's really a tribute, a global tribute to what people think about when they think about love. There's, it's soul inspiring about love and stuff like that, and that'll be dropping in the next couple of days as well.
Wow. Ali, you have so many big dreams. And
Yeah.
when you were speaking about it, I thought my big dream is to do this Soul of a Diamond and then have your story into the magazine, and that your story will be going into January's issue this month, so that we are busy with issue, and then have a book compilation as well, Soul of a Diamond. So for me, I have also big scary dreams, and
Love
I
it.
remember clearly Walt Disney said, if your dream is not scary, then it's not big enough. And mine is scary. May I ask you this following question? Is
Sure.
your dream scary?
I think it is, it's funny when you talk to me about professional dreams, I'm not scared by them, right? It's probably the personal side that's terrifying, right? And so it's when people ask me, are you starting to date? What's happening over there? I'm like, right? It's that part that's probably more terrifying to me than the professional side. For the professional side, I'm like, I've got this, like, no problem. It's probably the personal stuff that's the scary side, right?
Oh,
So, yeah.
my beautiful Ali, can you believe it? Our time is almost up. I
Yes.
re- I written a song for my beautiful Soul of a Diamond. I don't have somebody singing it to me, but Christa that came last week have introduced me to a beautiful gentleman with a beautiful voice. So we had a coffee chat yesterday, and he took over the words for what I've written. But I will want to ask, may I please play you a snippet
Yes.
of Dr.
Please.
Michael Alexander's voice with the
Love it.
song I've written? Okay, here we go.
Moments of moving from here to there between the star and the moon's soft glare capture a glimpse of light so rare, radiant and shining, our hearts declare for the world to see in love's grand affair. Moments of our lives that are filled with laughter keep us going, hearts thrilled, capture the essence of who we are in the spirit of a child like a shooting star. Moments to share our true stories so bright, not only for the world to heal, take flight, but to remind us how amazing we are. Forever moving forward, a radiant star to create magic near and far. In the radiance of each heart's soft glow, we find the strength to carry on and grow. Shining bright, our love doth show in every moment, from dusk till dawn's soft flow. Radiant hearts, we shine so bright in the diamond moments of love and light. Together we rise, our spirits take flight in the beauty of each day and every night. With courage in our
My beautiful Ali, what do you think about my song? I know it's a saying, but I'm gonna have somebody that's gonna sing it for me. How do you the words?
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Wow. When I had this epiphany with God's help to create the soul of a diamond in all the aspects of it, that also the words just came, and I written it down, and I was so impressed, and I said, thank you, my beautiful Lord, for giving me the ability to interpret it and write it down. And now I'm doing it. So I'm not
I
doing
love
all of
it.
the first two legs. I'm doing the show and the
Mhm.
Diamond Moment magazine. So the book
Everything.
compliment. It's coming. It's coming. So my beautiful Ali, our time is up. I want to say thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
here. Thank you for
Thank you.
giving us your heart. Happy birthday for
Thank
tomorrow.
you. Thank you.
My praise is with you for next week.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. It was such an honor to be here. Thank you.
Oh, Thank you, my beautiful Ali. You can just hold on for me. Let me say goodbye to the viewers, my beautiful viewers out there. Thank you for watching me and Ali, and my beautiful Diamond Beauties. Thank you for all your comments and all your beautiful love notes that you have bestowed on Ali and myself. I want to wish you all a beautiful day. Please look after yourself. Smile often
Yes.
and keep on dancing. Bye bye, everyone.